Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 8 of Going the Distance. I'm Nicholas Delgado, and I'm your host for everything to do with high school running in Central Illinois. Make sure to follow on Instagram and other socials at Going the Distance IL, and tune in every Wednesday for a new episode. Also, check out our new website at www.goingthedistance.co. We have a lot to go over today. It's going to be a standard style episode. No interview this time, so it shouldn't be too lengthy, but did have a couple good invites this week and some times to go over, so let's get right into it. Starting off with the Peoria High invite. So first off, I just want to make a note that this week was hot. When the 3A race ran here, it was like 80-something degrees out, which for this time of year is kind of crazy. If you've been following cross, you know this. Especially Illinois just has bipolar weather, so this kind of always happens at least 1 week when we get towards the end of the season, but it always kind of sneaks up on people, and that's reflected in the times this week. So I just wanted to throw that out as a note before we get going. But let's start off with the 1A 2A race from Peoria High. Tuscola, the 1A school, comes away with the win with only 89 points over U High with 121 points. So Tuscola is just a really good team this year. They're just all around solid. Got a top 5 that's just all running really fast times. So good job to them. They beat out, like I said, U High with 121 points and Bennett Academy with 129 points. Dylan Nally, the senior of Marion, wins the race in 14:17.2 over Gavin Genesio, the senior of Benton, in 14:24.1. Not a huge gap there, but Nally took it out in like a 4:29. So pretty quick race, and it's kind of easy to dive when it's like 80 degrees and you take it down to 4:29. He was going for a sub 14, just wasn't a great day for it, but he still got another shot, so hopefully he can get it next time. I do want to see some magic happen this fall. And then moving on to the 3A race at Peoria High, Winnetka New Trier wins with 83 points over Palatine Fremd with 138 points. So New Trier pulling away in each race that we see him down here in Peoria, so pretty impressive. Ben Crane, the junior of Winnetka New Trier, wins in 14:40.4, and as you can tell, he's run like low 14:20s. Like, it was hot this week, especially the 3A race. But he wins over Roy Gann, the junior of Palatine Fremd, in 14:54.1, and Josh Weeks, the senior of Morton, in 14:56.7. Important note, Morton did run the 3A race, even though they are a 2A school. They performed fairly well. They placed 5th, so congrats to them for taking that challenge, stepping up, and coming away with a top 5 finish. Moving on to another local invite, the Elmwood invite. Elmwood wins their own invite with 63 points, which is barely enough to win over Eureka's 64 points. Isaiah Hill, the senior of Elmwood, helping that out. He wins the race in 15:14 flat over Elijah Teefy, the sophomore of Pleasant Plains, in 15:34.7, and over Dean Witzig, the senior of El Paso Gridley, in 15:36.8. A not local meet that happened was the Lyle Maine Cross Country Invitational. Wheaton St. Francis comes away with the win with 65 points over Aurora Central Catholic with 73 points. Patrick Hilby, the solid 800-meter senior runner from Aurora Central Catholic, wins the 5K race in 16:21.5. Very impressive 5K time. I don't know what the course is like, but he wins it over Judah McLean, the junior of West Chicago, in 16:39.4. So pretty convincing win. Once again, that is a 5K, so that's why the times are slow. But great times there, especially with the heat. I'm assuming this course has hills. I don't know why. I just feel like this course has hills. But yeah, congrats to those guys. Way to push through on a tough weekend. It'll be great to see him down here at Detweiler. I guess I don't really think there's a big invite Detweiler until state, so now Detweiler kind of gets a little break. I mean, until conference week, obviously, but we're not there yet. So finally, another non-local meet, the Pat Savage invite. Deerfield wins this with 80 points over St. Ignatius with 104 points, and St. Ignatius senior Matthew Conroy comes away with the win in 14:51.85 over Jeremiah Lenum, the senior of Bradley Bourbonnais, in 15:24 flat. Very impressive when you're down to the 100th spot. He lands in 15:24.00. I always like looking for those, but congrats to both those guys. Pretty convincing win for Conroy, and he leads his team to a second place finish in that meet. So congratulations to all that ran this weekend. Very tough weekend, but some great times and great races that went down. So moving into individual performances for the weekly top times, Gavin Genesio, the senior from Benton, sets the 1A top time at the Peoria High invite. For the week, he runs a 14:24.1. The senior from Marion, Dylan Nally, sets the 2A weekly top time in 14:17.2 at the Peoria High invite. And finally, also set at the Peoria High invite, crazy, it's almost like Detweiler's a really fast course. It's Ben Crane, the junior from Winnetka, New Trier. He wins his 3A race in 14:40.4. Not 13:40, sorry, 14:40.4. But that sets the weekly top time for 3A. None of these fast enough to take down the season top times, but to be honest, it's going to be hard to take them down anyways. There's fast times up there. So just like last week, Jackson Barrett, the senior from Tuscola, has the 1A season top time for 1A season top time. Has a 14:12.5. Dylan Nally, the senior from Marion, has the 2A season top time in 14:05.2. And Dylan Ybarra, the senior of O'Fallon, has a 3A season top time in 14:20.7. Moving on to runner of the week. Locally, I chose Isaiah Hill, the senior from Elmwood. He had a 22nd victory at the Elmwood Invite, so very impressive by him. And that first place led his team to first place as well by only 1 point. So it was very crucial that he had a good race, and he did. So way to follow through there, secure the victory for himself and his team. And then once again, hot conditions, but still a good time on a course that isn't Detweiler. I don't know what that course is, but it's not Detweiler, and he ran low 15s. He ran a 15:14. So very impressive race by him. Can't wait to see him back at Detweiler. His conference meet isn't there, I don't think. I don't think their conference run's there. But we will see him there, I guess not until state. But I think he could drop a really good time this year. I know he's been training a lot. I saw him this summer at some summer races in Peoria. So hopefully he can get under that 15-minute barrier, especially on a course like Detweiler, given good conditions, obviously. But we'll see how he can follow through. He's had a great season so far. Statewide, I chose Gavin Genesio, the senior from Benton. He led his team to 4th place overall in the 1A, 2A race at Peoria High, and they were the second 1A team, so impressive performance by them, only losing to Tuscola. He also got 2nd overall in that huge race, and he got a solid time, especially in the heat. Like a 14:24 in that heat and Saturday it's just impressive. So very impressive by him. Only 7 seconds behind Nally too, which I think is important. Now he definitely made up some ground at the end as Nally slowed down, but it's still very impressive how close he got. Moving on to our conference corner segment. Morton pulls away a little bit from Washington since last week, as Washington did not race and Morton did. Now Morton leads 29-47. Dunlap's in 3rd with 91 points, Pekin with 110, Meadowmore with 114, Limestone with 186, and East Peoria with 193. All right behind. Canton, sadly, only 3 runners that cannot complete their scoring. But individually, Josh Weeks, the senior of Morton, leads the conference in 14:56.7 over Devin Hayes, the junior of Pekin, in 15:27 flat. Morton has that strong pack, like I've mentioned before. Their top 4 is in the top 7 of the conference, and their second runner even moves up, Dionis Brothridge, after the Peoria High invite, so now they're 1-3-6-7. And like I mentioned, Washington lost some ground in the conference this week, but they also didn't race, so we get a matchup on Saturday at the Run and Red invite, which we'll get to soon. The HOI Conference, Eureka leads El Paso Gridley 32-44. Gap closed a bit, but still a little bit wide. Eureka pretty easily handling El Paso Gridley based on PRs at least. Deer Creek Mackinac at 95, Tri-Valley at 113, Hayworth at 144, Tremont 154, and Mononk Fieldcrest at 163, all right behind. Individually, Dinwitzig, the senior of El Paso Gridley, leads Carson Lehman, the senior of Eureka, with a time of 15:30.3 to 15:36.1. So the Eureka and El Paso Gridley are racing for conference titles, and their top runners are also racing for conference titles. So will be good competition, not this week, but the week after that. Finally, the Big 12, Peoria Notre Dame with 42 points leads Normal Community with 55 points. That gap closes because Notre Dame ran at the Nike Twilight Invitational, which is a 5K, so their times unfortunately don't count to their PRs. But congrats to them. They ran really well there. And shout out to every other team that ran at the Nike Twilight meet in Terre Haute, Indiana. That is on the NXR regional course. I love it down there. It's a hard course, but it is really fun to run. So probably great experience at night too. It's always really freezing when we go down there, but I'm sure it was great to be out there. End of September. Great times, like I said, all around. I forgot to mention that earlier. I did want to give a little shout out, but I'm doing it here. But yeah, that's why their times aren't being affected here. So it's basically like PND had an off week and Normal Community ran at Peoria High. So it's kind of not telling right now. But after next week, they will get a head-to-head at the Metamora Running Red. So each conference 1 and 2 from the Big 3 local conferences are going to get a head-to-head this weekend at the Running Red. So stay tuned for a second as we get to that upcoming meet next week. But individually, Caleb Mathias, the sophomore of Champaign Central, leads over Joey Yaris, the junior of Normal Community, 15:08.8 to 15:23 flat. Also, I don't think I mentioned this, Champaign Central is behind Normal Community with 68 points, and Normal West is right behind them with 87. So pretty even split for the top 4. However, I think P&D is going to pull a little bit more away. If Champaign Central can find a better fit for their bottom runners, I think they can pull closer to Normal Community as well. Normal West kind of sat around the same amount of points this season, so I don't know what's really going to be able to change that for them. They just got to get a little faster. But anything can happen. We still got 2 weeks till conference. Finally, our weekly outlook. Obviously, I've mentioned the Metamora Running Red invite a lot. Well, that's my first thing on the list. A lot of good teams here. A lot of matchups that will be very telling for the rest of the season. We got Champaign Central going to be there. Morton versus Washington, but also Dunlap in there. And Metamora. Glen Park South, a favorite in 2A, coming down. Muhammad Seymour coming over. Normal Community and U-High all going to be here. Oswego East, PND. So we're going to get some conference matchups as well, and just some good teams coming down. Last year Palatine came down, but as of my research, it is not on their calendar this year. So, I guess I don't think they're coming down, but it's possible. We'll have to see on Saturday. I will make sure to give you an update next week. The next local meet that is occurring is the Delavan invite. A few more local teams going to be there, like IVC and Delavan. But Clinton and Decatur St. Teresa, both teams with strong runners individually and as a team, will be competing there for some hopefully fast times. I know Delavan has some freshman potential this year. We can get out what they see they're trying to do for moving into conference and state postseason for 1A. So big tell there. Honestly, this week not too many meets going on outside of Central Illinois. So the only non-local meet I chose was the Sterling invite. There's actually nothing in Chicago I saw that worthwhile covering for this next week. But the Sterling invite, there's going to be DeKalb, Caneland, Oak Park Fenwick, Hoffman Estates Connie, and Sterling all going to be there. So there should be some good competition, especially for Dale Johnson. So I don't know if this is the same course as the River Rock Run or the Rock River Run, but either way, that course always seems to be strange. Never been there, don't know what it's like, but just one I thought I'd cover. All somewhat local, but definitely important as we get close to the season. Just wanted to throw something else in there, because like I said, no Chicago meets this weekend, which is quite strange. I feel like I remember doing this probably last year and be like, but here we go again. But big things coming out next week. Make sure to tune in. It is going to be conference week. So we will have a fantastic interview with all the Mid-Illini Conference guys, just like the beginning of the season, except we're going to try to get them all on this time. I'm really excited for it. I hope you guys are too. So like I said, make sure to tune in next Wednesday and continue tuning in every Wednesday, because Going the Distance drops every Wednesday. So make sure to follow the podcast, follow our Instagram and other social media at Going the Distance IL. We drop awesome Instagram. We get some good pictures at the meets. We get good statistics to cover on the podcast. Make sure to share with your friends and visit us on our website to stay up to date with our latest news. Like I said, the URL is www.goingthedistance.co. So check that out. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you here next week.